Welcome back to Two Grown Men. As usual, my name is Yemi, and
Hello, everyone. How you doing? My name is Olaomi. Welcome back to Two Grown Men. What's going on, Yemi?
yeah, not bad at
How you
all. Not
doing?
bad at all. Yeah, not bad at all. So today we're talking about Ibrahim Babangida's book. Uh, that's what we're talking about today.
Hey! Wala, wala, wala.
What is the name of the book? The name of the
A
book,
journey in service.
A Journey in Service, and what is service rendered to Nigerians? Depending on which side of the pendulum you swing in, he definitely served the nation in his own way. So let's get into it. So, what are your thoughts about this book? Because this book has the potential to polarize a lot of people.
Hey! Wala, wala, wala.
People are not in the middle on this. People are either one way or the other. So I'd like us to just do a proper dissection of this particular book, which just came out. I think a couple of days ago, there was this grand inauguration. So many past presidents were there, heads of industries, etc., etc., and they're all talking about Babangida's book. Um, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I fall within the group of people that's very, very upset.
Right.
I'm not going to mince words. I'm upset. I'm not happy at all. I don't understand why. So I get him writing the autobiography. I get it. Before you, I mean, I think he's 80 years old. I understand before you go, you set the record straight to protect your legacy. I understand that bit. Okay. And I appreciate he's finally coming clean about things that we already knew. Okay, things that we
Easy,
always
easy.
suspected, you know. But look, exactly, is he coming clean? Is he
Easy,
really, 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 really coming clean?
easy.
Is he really, really, really coming clean?
Hmm.
Is he really coming clean, Yemi? Is he really coming clean? What do you think?
So, like, not unlike many people in his position, many former leaders try to reframe history from their perspective. They try to reframe history. What does this book cover? It talks about his rise to power. It talks about joining the military, etc., etc. But we want to talk about the major policy decisions that affected us as a nation. So we'll talk a little bit about SAP. We'll talk a little bit about privatization, economic reforms. But we are pretty much going to spend most of the time talking about the controversial June 12 annulment, because that's the one that most people were interested in when we heard that IBB was releasing a book. So, does this book offer new credible information, or just another political memoir where IBB conveniently chooses to remember some details and chooses to ignore some details? So I really want to start with the missing pieces. Yeah, the missing pieces. Um, he talked about the June 12th, 1993 annulment, election annulment. So, guys,
Mhm.
uh, we're two grown men. So, if you don't know what happened, just a little bit of recap. June 12th, 1993 refers to a period in Nigeria's history, marked an election that happened during that time. Babangida, or IBB, was the military president. He presided over the freest and fairest election that was ever held, and probably still till to date, the best election that Nigeria has ever done, right? That election was won by MKO Abiola. And that election was annulled by Babangida. And people have tried to talk to him to get him to say what happened. At some point, he blamed INEC, chaired by Humphrey Nwosu at the time. He blamed the other people. So, but in this book, he claims that he annulled the election to save Nigeria from chaos. As if Nigeria didn't have chaos that time. Anyway, he said he, but this is the same justification that IBB has given for decades. These are my questions. Who exactly pressurized him to annul it? Who is that person?
He has said Abacha. In
Abacha
the book,
that
he says that.
No
He
more
says
with us.
Abacha. Exactly. He said it's Abacha. He says a lot of things in the book. He
said Abacha and his group. He said Abacha and his
Yeah.
group, which I think is very convenient because Abacha is no more. The group may be no more, or they may be alive. He hasn't said anything about the people in the group. Who were the people in the group? Was it the people that were in the Armed Forces Ruling Council? Was it other major players in Nigeria's, top echelon of society? Or somebody else? Was it the international community? He doesn't say. He just says Abacha and his group. Now, if he truly regrets it, why didn't he correct the injustice before stepping down? Because he stepped aside in 1993, if you remember. He stepped aside, I think, in August. And the Shinoko of blessed memory took over, and then Abacha took over, brushed him aside, etc., etc. Now, you see, my issue is that annulment pushed us into possibly the worst period of political instability. That led to Abacha's dictatorship. We had all our pro-democracy struggles, and there were international sanctions. We couldn't play football at some point. We couldn't trade at some point. It was messy. This book doesn't talk a lot about that. It kind of like downplays it. Before we talk about other things, another thing I just wanted to say is IBB apologized, but he didn't fully apologize. So on one hand, I'm glad that he's done this. As you said, he's in his 80s, probably reflecting on life. How would history judge me? This is a long-standing elephant in the room. I have an opportunity to address this. I haven't. It's time to do so. It's time to do so. I don't want to do it through a press conference. I want to do it in a book. He has his prerogative to do that, and he's done that.
Perfectly fine.
But then he says he justifies them with diplomatic language. He says, instead of admitting his role in weakening democracy, he blames external forces and bad advisors. Right? Instead of taking responsibility for Nigeria's economic decline under SAP, he argues it was a necessary pain. Instead of confronting his role in corruption, he avoids discussing how the oil boom funds disappeared.
$12 billion.
$12 billion then is probably like $30 billion in 2025.
More than that. It's more than that. You're looking at about 100.
Adjustable. Probably even way more than that. You see?
Yeah.
So I think that is where the book kind of like fails to impress me, because it made me now have more questions. So he answered some questions, but then it now gave us more questions to ask,
to ponder,
about. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think?
If I go any further, I want to plead for your support for this channel. Please give us a like, a thumbs up, and please subscribe to this channel and forward this video. Share with anyone that you think might enjoy watching us, please. Okay, we are Two Grown Men on X, Instagram. Send us an email at Two Grown Men, please. Thank you very much.
Please do.
Thank you very much for watching. Yeah, I mean, see, I am angry. I don't think that. Yes, I have a lot of respect for IBB folk. He could have gone to his grave and not bothered to tell the truth.
Yep.
You can't dispute that. But at the same time, if you're going to tell the truth, you might as well tell the whole truth. There are excerpts of the book where he says, there's a part where he says, where he's talking about the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo of blessed memory, was upset with him when he banned old politicians from joining, from running in the new elections. He said that the older politicians, including Chief Obafemi Awolowo, were upset with him.
Yep.
Except that Chief Obafemi Awolowo had died by the time he announced his ban.
Yeah.
So how could a dead man have been upset with you? Okay. But you can put that down to a lapse in memory. But then if you remember things that didn't actually occur, surely there's a problem there. If you're remembering things that didn't actually transpire. Okay.
Exactly.
I struggle with, and the half truths. He says, "Oh, it was Nduka Irabo that read out a poorly written statement, but you are a general, and you are the commander in chief of the armed forces. So that is effectively, you're basically saying that there was a coup. You're effectively saying that your subordinates hijacked the machinery of power and subverted your will. So how come you're still president? And I'm sorry, who took the decision? Where were you? Was it one person? Was it the entire government? Like you said, name everybody now. Let's hear everybody's names. Tell us. Who was it?
Exactly.
Who took those decisions? You say it's Abacha. Abacha didn't act alone. He had to have had conspirators.
Exactly.
So somebody took that decision with him. Name them. Tell us who they are. If you're going to heal this wound, then by all means, do it properly. As they say in medicine, debride the wound, clean it, get rid of the old flesh. All right, and let the new flesh heal. So what are you doing? If you're going to tell the truth, Kuku, tell us the painful truth.
Exactly.
Because the consequence of your actions go far, far beyond another election. People paid for this decision with their lives. The Abiola children lost their father. Some of them lost their father and their mother. Other people.
Yeah.
People on the streets that were killed, people protesting, youths killed. I mean, riots. I mean, the Abiola family has not recovered from those decisions, those series of decisions. So thank you for telling us what we always knew. MK Abiola won that election. I've always used this analogy here to describe what IBB did with the elections. See, when you say, "Oh, I conducted the freest and fairest elections in Nigeria's history," one of the freest and fairest in Africa, all right, in the 90s, you're like the father that said, "Oh, this is my beloved son. This is my beloved child, my beloved son or daughter. I've sent them to the best schools. I've given them the best food. I've made sure they lack for nothing. And they have rewarded me by being excellent." So, "Oh, wow, fantastic. Well done. So you must be very proud." "Yes, I'm very proud." "So can you show us where that child is now, sir?" "No." "Why, sir? What's going on?" "My child is dead, sir." "What happened?" "I killed the child." Yeah?
Imagine.
You basically conducted the best election in Nigeria's history. And then you annulled it afterward. You killed the child. After you'd been through that process, there had been option A1, option A4. And so many things had gone on. I remember that my father and his uncle were delegates during the SDP primaries, the convention
Right.
that were held in Jos, where
Mhm.
MK Abiola emerged. My dad and his uncle were there. So the
Wow.
delegates, they came back, from Jos. They went by road. I remember this entire thing, and they came, I think it was televised live on TV or something. The convention anyway, and they came back. And MK Abiola had emerged, and there was this excitement. Hope 93, and MK Abiola had this reputation for being this philanthropist, this very generous man, and for being this man that came from nothing, he was loved. Came from nothing. He had the Abiola Babes Football Club, Concord newspapers, Concord Airlines. I remember flying on Concord Airlines.
Bookshop. He had a whole host of businesses.
I went to school. I went to primary school just down the road from Abiola bookshops. I remember just going there to buy the Secret 7 books, the Famous 5 books, the Enid books, Zulika Uraola House. I think the building is called on Herbert. I mean, as you know,
Yes.
and then I remember the jingles, the Hope 93 jingles, the elections, everything. I remember it. There's this excitement that this guy was finally going to fix Nigeria, and then they started announcing elections, and
it is true that the presidential election was generally seen to be free, fair, and peaceful.
They started announcing elections, and he was in the lead. He had won these elections, and then one day, my guy, the general, just came and said, "We are annulling the elections." Why are you annulling the elections? Why? You're a general. Die on that hill. Announce the elections and damn the consequences. You don't put people's lives at risk. People traveled around the country campaigning, right? People put their lives at risk. People died in car accidents campaigning for various candidates. And then you woke up one day and you said to over 100 million Nigerians, you know what? My will is stronger than yours. I don't give a damn what you just did. That all of you exercised what I promised you. I made you a solemn promise that I would conduct a fair election. And then I, an officer and a gentleman, the number one citizen of your country, who is sworn to service, then woke up and decided that my will was superior to yours, that I had a right to silence your votes and do what I choose to do. No. You can ask for our forgiveness. But I hope you've called the Abiola children and asked for their forgiveness. I hope you called every single one of them.
Asked
for every single one of them. And asked for their forgiveness. Especially those young ones who never got to really know their
parents.
father. And you know something? It doesn't matter what age you lose your loved ones. I lost my parents in my 40s. And it's a wound that doesn't heal. So I'm sorry. So you don't get to stand up and say, "Oh, mea culpa." Even mea maxima culpa, and you think it doesn't end there. I'm sorry. You might as well tell the full story and tell us what you did. What happened with SAP? There are burning questions that people need to ask. So you don't, and then I don't know. I don't get Nigerians on this. I don't get us, because he now threw this massive event.
People are clapping. They're clapping.
So before I go any further, Professor Humphrey Nwosu, who actually conducted those elections, has passed.
Really?
And yes, he's
May
passed.
soul rest in peace. May soul rest in peace.
And may his soul rest in peace.
May soul rest
He's
in peace.
passed. And in all this, he's not being celebrated. Because I want you to understand something. IBB and the AFRC and the Nigerian people gave Professor Humphrey Nwosu an assignment.
Yeah.
Conduct for us a free and fair elections in all tiers of government. Did Professor Humphrey Nwosu deliver on that task?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Was
The
it
fact that the IBB can now announce those results 32 years later, he's announcing those results. But Professor Humphrey Nwosu did his job. And by all means, he deserves his flowers. He deserves to be recognized as a true patriot. You know one person that deserves to be recognized? Among the millions, the myriad people, there's a man called Mr. Atidor Peterside, who gave this amazing interview yesterday or so today, talking about this book launch.
While Laomi brings that up, guys, we really appreciate you staying with us. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Be part of the conversation. It's not a one-way street. Have you read this book, A Journey in Service, an autobiography by Ibrahim Babangida? Did you live in the 90s, or were you told about what happened in the 90s during the IBB years, during the military years, or you were just born recently and you only knew democracy? Either way, whatever you've been told or whatever you experienced, please put your comments down below. What do you think about the man? What do you think about the book? Do you think it's sincere? Do you think is a laudable attempt or poor attempt to reframe history? What are your thoughts? Please put them in this comment section down below.
Well, let's speak with Mr. Atidor Peterside, who is the president and founder of the Annulled Foundation and also the founder of the Stanbic IBTC Bank. He's live for us from Lagos. Mr. Peterside, it's a pleasure having you join us tonight on the program.
If you're asking me to give a reaction to what IBB said, I think I'll just make one little observation that perhaps this time he has written a book in some detail, but it's not the first time he has spoken about the events of June 12, 1993. An interesting thing is that each time he speaks about events and he explains things, the story changes slightly. So if you say you take responsibility for something, people can respect that. But it's a little bit strange if you take responsibility in one breath, and then in your explanations, it sounds as if you're passing the buck to other people, a good number of them who have passed on. But I don't want us to focus too much on what IBB chose to write or what he chose to say at this time. I want us to focus more on that touchy subject of June 12th and why I think we should separate the book launch. You see, the book launch was a spectacle. And I think the whole way it was presented, hindsight, my personal opinion is that when we are touching a subject like that, we have to create a very somber occasion, eliminate, jokes, laughter, backslapping. It's almost like saying, I know it might sound like an extreme case. June 12th, many people lost their children. When some lost their parents. It's a serious thing. When we are discussing the Holocaust, there should be no laughter in the room. When we are discussing June 12th, it's a serious subject. And some of us were a little bit upset at the general mood and the banter and the laughter and so on. It made us feel for those who lost their parents or lost a parent or lost a child and so on. So I think let's be very careful because we are, whether we like it or not, we have a responsibility to help to shape what is right and what is wrong, to try and help to influence today's youth, whether we like it or not in terms of demography. Those of us who are above 65, I mean, I'm not yet 70, but those of us who are above 65 in Nigeria, we are less than 5%. So we don't matter. Those who matter are the young ones, who are by far the majority. We have to be careful what lessons we are sending to our children and grandchildren, so that hopefully they can help to build a greater country. Finally, I would say that on the issue of June 12th, and perhaps you were impressed, but I'm not impressed by coming out to admit something over 3 decades later. Definitely, it's okay if you need to get some ghosts off your back or something, but let it be very somber. Let it appear like an occasion for almost mourning. I think that's what upset a number of people. They may not be able to articulate it, but all that banter, laughter, backslapping, fundraising, raising large sums of money at a time when many people are financially hard up, announcing the figures. I think we just be a little bit careful. You don't handle the Holocaust that way. You don't handle the death of people's loved ones that way. So that's just a comment I wanted to put on the table first, Sharon.
Well, Yemi, there you go. There you go. That was Mr. Atedo Peterside. I don't think it's possible